Okay, are we ready? You ready? Yes, ma'am.
This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, June the 8th. Please stand for our invocation led by Reverend Milton Sappho, Stone Street Baptist Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we come today humbly thanking you for another day and another opportunity, thanking you for these men and women of this council, our mayor and his staff, who offer their services to this community. We pray now, Father, as they come together to reason over the issues that come before them, they, in their humbleness and in their wisdom, and those who come before them in their desires, Lord, the unity can be made manifest for all who are involved. We pray your presence within us. We pray your peace upon us. And we ask, Father, for your care and your concern on our streets as we go forward, because too many of our sons and daughters are dying across this community. Now bless us, Lord, and keep us. Have mercy upon us and forgive us for our sins. In Christ Jesus' name we pray, and for his sake, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, President Manzi.
Here.
Vice President Small.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson. Here. Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves. Here. Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
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 We first would ask that you turn off or silence all of your electronic devices before or upon entering the meeting. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, ordinance, appeal, a public hearing, agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, we ask that the speaker clearly state for the record both your name and address. Any person desiring to speak to the city council on a matter not on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk's office no later than 2 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that you would want to speak concerning must be pertinent to City of Mobile business, and the person who hadn't given that proper notice will not be allowed to address the council. Speakers are granted 3 minutes to make their presentation. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates that all of your time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to myself, serves as chair, and I will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and/or public outcry allowed. Those are the rules for this particular meeting of the City Council, and we are certainly grateful for your continued interest in your municipal government.
Approval of minutes of June 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody here this morning. My first announcement has to do with Creek Fest. Our Parks and Rec Department has been working diligently with our environmental partners to put on the 5th annual celebration of Creek Fest. It's this Saturday at Tricentennial Park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The reason for Creek Fest originally started with to bring focus to 3 Mile Creek, which is a small river, or creek, let's say, that runs from west to east in our city. In years gone by, it provided a source of our drinking water for the city. It was a place where actually babies were baptized, but over a period of years it became a place for everything in the city to be dumped in there, from litter to sewage. But in recent years has been focus brought to what an opportunity we have for a treasure to restore that creek. And so Creek Fest, what we'll do is that this celebration and those environmental partners that are a part of this are the Mobile Bay National Estuary Program, the 3 Mile Creek Partnership, the Baykeepers, Alabama Coastal Foundation, and the Board of Health. So during Creek Fest, which is again held at Tricentennial Park, there will be fishing. So if you want to get your cane pole, actually we'll supply the cane pole and the bait, and but you have opportunity to do that. There are prizes for who catches the biggest fish. And also there'll be raffles of other prizes given away. There'll be kayaking, there'll be food. And anyway, it'll be a great celebration, so we hope that you will join us in doing that. Prior to Creek Fest, between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, we will have an electronics recycling bin there. So anybody that would like to recycle your electronics, please bring them to Tricentennial Park between 8 and 10 o'clock so that we can properly recycle them. On Friday night is Art Walk. Don't know if it's been a while since you've been to Art Walk, but it's just become an incredible celebration every Friday night, especially with our Roll Mobile being put on by the Parks and Rec Department. So we hope that you'll get your skates and join us. I say join us. There's some on the staff that won't let me roller skate, but I'll be there cheering you on. So those that maybe my age, maybe we shouldn't be roller skating, but everybody else will cheer you on. Finally, I want to talk about trash pickup, which has become a real challenge for the city and certainly for all of for our citizens. We had anticipated receiving equipment that would have allowed us to catch up on the recycling. That equipment was not delivered as anticipated. But by this Friday, we will have hired 6 outside groups to come help us catch up. Also, kind of coincidentally, it seems that now the equipment that has been back ordered, will be ready this Friday. But regardless of the equipment showing up at this point in time, we're still going to have these 6 different crews that should be on the streets by the end of this week, and those crews will stay engaged until we catch up. We thank you for your patience, your understanding, and we will get this sorted out. I'd like to call on at this time Danny Cordy to give a quick report. Danny.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. President, City Council. The reason I'm up here, I guess 2 weeks in a row, is I mentioned last week how our sports events are starting to surge as we emerge from the COVID pandemic economy. This past weekend, we hosted an event which ended up exceeding our expectations, much like what our volleyball tournament did in late April. And with the support of the city and the county and a very engaged board led by your own John Williams as our chairman, we hosted the Ballin' on the Bay YBOA basketball tournament this past weekend at the Mobile Convention Center. We had 97 teams here, with 67 of those being from out of town. As far as I know, with what I've seen of our research, I believe it's the largest basketball tournament ever held in Mobile County, following up our largest volleyball tournament. So as you can see, sports events are just surging and continuing to surge. We estimate we had close to 3,000 visitors in town this past weekend because we had teams from 7 states here. That equates to about a $2 million economic impact. So just a tremendous event. The Mobile Convention Center staff, the ASM Global staff was great in helping us, and you can't pull off an event like this without the support of all those mentioned. So I just wanted to mention that because it is big business, and we're looking to have to obviously have more events coming up. Between now and the end of the summer, we have 10 events planned, with 6 of those being youth baseball with the state and regional tournaments. So a lot going on, and again, I appreciate you calling me up. But again, just a huge event and exceeded our expectations, so thank you.
Thank you, Danny. I want to congratulate you and Councilman Williams for your leadership and what you're doing to bring youth sports on an ongoing basis to the city, so thank you. And Council President, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you.
Shonda Smith with the Employee of the Month.
Good morning.
Morning.
Back again for Employee of the Month for Parks and Recreation. This month we are recognizing Mr. Jack Green. Jack Green is our program, I'm messing up the title. Youth Program Manager, I apologize. And that's probably, I'm confused because Jack does everything else. In addition to that, he's our loader, he's our over our YES program, he is logistics, everything. So most of the time I see Jack and he's doing everything else. He is a monumental person to the team because he's always saying yes. The other part is he's always volunteering to do something to help make sure that the team is successful. And so with that, we want to award Jack Green Employee of the Month for the month of June.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. This is appreciative. It's an opportunity that somebody like me has had before. Never thought we would get it again. After 28 years in the military, I thought I was gonna just retire and settle down and do nothing. Didn't happen. Parks and Rec, excuse me, Parks and Rec came along and changed my life really, and I'm so proud to be a member of Mobile Parks and Rec. It's so much to do, and then the additional thing when Ms. Smith came on board, it took off, and we've been soaring ever since. Thank you, Mayor, for hiring her. Thank you, Council, whoever had something to do with it, thank you. Thank you. And this award is very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. We appreciate all that you do, and Ms. Smith, of course, we appreciate your leadership, and keep up the good work.
Mr. President,
Mr. Vice President.
yeah, I'd like to say congratulations to the Employee of the Year. But as I mentioned to the mayor several occasions, that one of the best things that he done was to hire Ms. Smith, even though sometimes she gets on my nerves. But you know, the city of Mobile have experienced a whole lot of things since Ms. Smith have been on board, especially the sip and paint situation. I didn't even know it was Prince's birthday was coming up until I saw an advertisement of the sip and paint. As the mayor had stated earlier, the rolling blading across the parks. I mean, she had really done great works. But again, Mr. Mayor, you heard from the city employee and myself several times. And again, I don't like her sometimes, but she had done really great things with this Parks and Rec since she's been here. Again, now congratulations to the Employee of the Year, but thank you also, Ms. Smith, for your leadership.
Mr. President?
Ms. Gregory.
I think it's funny that Mr. Small says that sometimes he doesn't like you. It's only probably because when you say no, you know. Congratulations, Mr. Green. That is wonderful. I love hearing that you were in the military and retired and planned to kind of settle back and settle in, and instead you came to work for the city of Mobile, and now you were an all-round employee doing apparently everything, is what Shonda says. So thank you so much for your service. We love having you here, and so happy that we were able to recognize you in this way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, can I have another word?
Yes, sir.
I'd be remiss without saying I couldn't do nothing without my wife. The hours that I work, the time that I'm not at home, when I get home, she's there. My dinner is cooked.
All right.
Whatever it is.
Heard that.
And it's not a.
Good for you.
It's nothing about you work too much, none of that. So I would be nothing without the remiss of my wife.
What's her name?
Barbara Green.
Okay.
Let's give Ms. Green a big round.
I think that's a standing ovation. this. It's okay.
Thank you, Ms. Green. All right.
Thank y'all. Thank you so much.
Mr. President,
Mrs. Richardson.
I would like to join the rest of my colleagues in thanking Mr. Green for his service and your humbleness, how you carry yourself. You're a humble man. You're a true servant. You come to work to serve and to work, and we see it, we appreciate it, and we are honored to have you down here with us today. And you were thoughtful enough to bring your wife.
That's right.
We are happy to have her with us too.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Properly moved and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests for waive of the noise ordinance on June the 12th on Cedar Avenue and July 3rd on Yerby Drive.
So move.
Properly moved and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Tom Albritton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am, my name is Tom Albritton. I'm the director of the State Ethics Commission. And I simply wanted to come here this morning not to be the bearer of bad news, but just to say that we are here to help you. Often, people associate enforcement with our office only, but as this morning proves, you have a lot of good people, including yourself, who are working very hard to make Mobile a better place. And we see ourselves as a teammate with you in that endeavor. So I want you to rely on us as a resource if you have questions about whether certain conduct, specifically votes you may take, are allowed by the ethics laws or are prohibited by the ethics laws. You can ask us for that advice well ahead of time, and we can answer those questions for you. We have a great working relationship with your lawyers. I know that the council has a lawyer and that the mayor's office has a lawyer as well. We work with the League of Municipalities very closely. We work with the Clerks Association very closely. So there's no shortage of people who are available to help you maneuver through questions that you may have arising under the ethics laws. And so this year I have decided that part of what my mission will be is going around to all 67 counties in Alabama and meeting with city councils to remind you that we're here and that we are a resource to help you. So now that you've got me here at the podium with a record being kept, are there any questions you want to ask me, either about myself or the council or anything specific to your job?
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson.
Mr. Albritton, how long have you been on the Ethics Commission?
I have been the director of the commission. I'm now starting my 7th year.
Okay. During your tenure, have you had any issues to come before you pertaining to the Mobile City Council?
Well, there's a lot that I can't talk about, but because the things that let me answer it this way.
That's called a yes and
let me
no.
answer it this way, because I think this is probably an answer that you would like. I looked at the names of everybody sitting on the dais today, and I know nothing about any of you.
Hello.
So that is, I think, a good way to answer that question. In all truthfulness, I will tell you, we have issues that come up about every city council in every city in Alabama, and often it is a complaint against an elected official that has no merit, may not state a violation of the ethics laws. But over the course of 6 years, yes, I've had something involving nearly every city or county official in the state of Alabama. But the other good news is this. From the vantage point of being here now, starting on 7 years, what I have determined, and this is backed up by the statistics in our office, is that most of y'all are doing it right. And by most of y'all, I mean elected officials in Alabama. The overwhelming majority of everyone elected to office in Alabama is doing it precisely the correct way. I have a lot of faith in our elected officials in Alabama, not just because I'm an optimistic person, which I am, but it's because I've seen the statistics bearing it out that I have a lot to be proud of. I like to think that part of the reason that I feel that way, though, is that y'all were really good about asking questions ahead of time. And so that's what you can do, is be sensitive to the fact that anytime there's a a proposal pending before the council that may affect your financial interests or that of a business of yours or a family member of yours, that's when you should start asking questions about whether it's a problem for you. And you can talk to your counsel. Your counsel can talk directly to us, or you can contact us directly, and we can answer that for you. We have a staff that's dedicated to that. So thank you for your question. I tend to ramble, but I hope somewhere in that I answered your question for you.
Mr. President, I want to finish up.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I wanted Mr. Albritton to know that we are willing to put the Mobile City Council up against any city council in America, not Alabama, any city council in America. We just want you to, we are not sure whether or not you're aware of that, but we want you to know how we feel about ourselves. We have watched, we go to the National League of Cities, we know about other cities. We don't take low to no city council nowhere, and we want you to know that.
Well, that's a great attitude to have about yourself. You ought to be proud of yourself. So just view us as a teammate with you in that. Really, we do want to work to make it better for you. Last thing I'll say, because I know I'm getting short on time, is that in my previous life, I was a city attorney for a number of municipalities as well, and did that for the bulk of my practice, and loved it. I was talking with Mr. Woods before we came in here. It was my favorite part of private practice, and what it did is it sensitized me to the hard job that y'all have, and I have not forgotten that in this position that I'm in. I know it's hard from a public perception standpoint. It is often hard to do the right thing and to stand up in the face of criticism for that. So if what we can do is eliminate one concern that you have, and that being whether you are violating the ethics laws in the performance of your duties, then that's just one less thing for you to worry about. So again, I will offer it to you as a service that we provide. And just know that my office is available to you and open anytime you have questions at all. So I want to thank you for carving out a few minutes of your day for me, and I hope I get to talk to you again sometime. Thank you all.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. Daves.
Mr. Albritton, I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to be with us today and commend the job you're doing and the job that the State Ethics Commission is doing. And I'd just like to comment that there have been various Albritons across the state, mainly in the southern part of the state, who have rendered distinguished service to the state and to the state bar over a large number of years. I assume you're a part of that family, and want to commend you and your family for that, all that work.
Oh, well, thank you. Those are awfully kind words. Yeah, I'm from Andalusia. That's where I grew up, and that's where I practiced law my entire career before I left to go to Montgomery. But now we're all in Montgomery. We live 2 streets apart, so we all stayed together. But anyway, thank you for those very kind words. All right, y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Hunt.
I don't see Cheryl.
She's right up there.
Good morning.
Oh, I see Cheryl.
Good morning, Ms. Hunt.
First of all, I want to say good morning to everyone. My father passed in 2012. By the grace of God, my daddy.
Ms. Hunt, if you could, give us your address for the record. Your address.
Oh, 662 South Dearborn Street, Mobile, Alabama. That's Dearborn, Dearborn.
Yes, ma'am.
I have some pictures that I need to give to you all too. Before,
If you
after
could get those to our city clerk, she'll be happy to get them to us.
Okay,
Yes,
I have them right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Since 2000, my dad passed in 2012. 2013, my husband's in the military. We traveled almost around the world. He retired. I would come back and forth to take care of my father. When my dad died, he left me a house on Dearborn Street. When I was back in Mobile, I have a house in Atlanta, I have one here in Mobile. I'm paying my taxes, my homeowner's insurance and flood insurance. I've been picking up my trash in my yard since 2013. I've talked to the leasing office. I done dealt with the code enforcer. They said, well, they have to talk to their boss whether they want to write somebody up or not. This is my home. I don't think anybody would appreciate having to pick up trash in their yard 4 or 5 times a day. At the same time, I have had 10 strokes, I have MS, I'm diabetic, just got diagnosed 2 weeks ago in Atlanta with glaucoma. I'm not going to be able to continue to pick up my trash in my yard. All I'm asking is for somebody to please take the initiative to make these people, they are responsible for these apartments, South Bay apartments across the street. I talked to the leasing office. She tell me that she's not responsible for the trash blowing out for their property in my yard and in everybody else's yard in the street. When I first started picking up trash in the street, I was told by one of the leasing office employees, look at this bee walking up and down the street picking up trash. Just because I care about my community. I never seen Mobile this filthy in my life. But around my home, I can't do, I mean, only time I really had help was from the mayor's secretary, Karen. She bowed out because she got tired. She had to. I've talked to everyone. I just went down to the city last week. They got a field behind my house. It blows trash in the field. I get the trash out the field. I get the trash out the street. I put a work order in. They talking about y'all got new equipment. Bring it into the areas that don't need it, that do need it. I see street sweepers going down whatever name that Dolphin Island Parkway. It's clean enough to have a picnic on. Come over here on Mr. Manz's side or on Mr. What's his name? The funeral director, very nice young man, Mr. Small area. You come over there, it's filthy. They cutting the grass they cutting grass with the paper in it. They're not even picking it up. But this is the city workers. All I'm asking is somebody to let these people know you cannot not pick the trash up in the street. You have to clean up your apartment area. It's just because it's in an area that not in West Mobile, I still live there. I still care about where I live. I've been dealing with this since 2013. God knows I'm tired. I got pictures showing I'm picking up buckets of trash in my yard. The code enforcer just got on them last week telling them to pick it up 6 days a week. As soon as he turned his back, they do what they want to do.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Unfortunately, your time has expired. I believe we're going to hear from Ms. Casey Calloway, recently hired as,
Do you want me to give her the pictures?
You gonna talk with her outside? Okay, if you would, Miss Casey Calloway will talk with you right outside these chambers.
Thank you, please help me.
Mr. President?
Mr. Vice President.
I have a couple of comments and a question. One of the comments is Dolphin Island Parkway, the citizens of Dolphin Island Parkway don't feel the same way as she feels. You know, they feel like they've been neglected also with trash, and I'm sure throughout the other districts too, besides 1 and 2. I'm sure the rest of the districts also. But my question is, and I guess I can ask this to the city attorney, with the situation that the resident have and the apartments that's over there, I think it's off of Washington Avenue, is it?
Right, South Bay.
Could the city fine that apartment for having trash on its own private property?
Yes.
In the parking lot?
Yes.
So is it possible that, I mean, since she said she has been complaining and went all the way to the mayor's secretary, is it possible that the city could send a crew there at least once a week to, you know, just check to make sure it's, you know, the trash is out there or no trash is out there, and if so, make sure that the apartment complex be fine?
So once a week is probably not doable based on resources, but I can tell you, and let me straighten one thing out. I know we're using the term trash, but those are, what she's referencing, I think, is litter. You know, trash, what we refer to as leaves, just things that go in, but we're talking about litter. So, you know, litter enforcement is an issue that we do deal with, but those are dealt with on sweeps. and not necessarily spot checking. But now that she is talking to our chief resiliency officer, that will be a focal point. And back to your original question is, yes, we can ticket people, even if it's a business, for having litter out in their general parking area. What we often find is that windblown litter goes from one area to another, and we try to prevent that. So one of the things we'll do a check on is if there's a dumpster or an area where garbage or trash is supposed to be disposed and being littered is properly enclosed. But if it's just litter, they can be ticketed for that because that's specific to the actual property.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Woods, for explaining that and not trying to overstep my bounds and get into the administration lane, but just a suggestion that, you know, even because this comes to us, at least myself, all the time, where especially apartment complex, I got one now, which the city is very well known of, is the one off the Dolphin Island Parkway by Hertel Street, constantly just getting, you know, complaints. But if the city would just have one person design just to go and make sure that these businesses or apartment complex can be ticketed, many of our residents won't be as in the same condition as the residents that came out this morning and, you know, crying before us. I mean, our hearts goes out, but we cannot instruct city employee what to do. But if I believe that the city show that it has done all good and faith services for the citizens, that we won't have so many citizens, you know, coming and complaining to us, not only just publicly, but also privately. Because again, this constantly comes to my office all the time about, you know, apartment complexes, the housing board, different businesses. I mean, I complain what business in my community now, you know, constantly have trash out there, you know, and that's one reason why I'm glad that Casey came on, you know, to this to the city. But it's something that we're struggling very hard at, you know, in the city of Mobile. Thank you.
If I have.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. Appreciate hearing about the city's efforts to deal with trash and litter coming from apartment complexes. That's an issue that comes to my office as well. And one of the things that the residents discovered in their early morning walks was a lot of the trash companies that work for the big complexes, they didn't cover their, I guess, trailer or whatever, or things would come flying out of the back of their truck. So that was something I think that the city addressed with the management firm, and I think it's gotten a little bit better, and perhaps that's something going on nearby here. So that's really good if the city would work with management and getting them to follow the rules and contain the trash, have maybe garbage cans inside the parking lot that I know they have to pick them up, you know, and empty them, but in other words, trying hard not to give a good excuse for people to just throw their stuff down when they come into those big parking lots in front of complexes. Thanks.
Mr. President.
Mr. Davis?
You know, this problem with these large complexes has various ways it plays out across the city, and there are good operators and there are bad operators. And the good operators provide plenty of places for their tenants to properly dispose of their garbage and trash. And the garbage and trash is picked up on a regular basis by competent trash collection agencies. And there are others that don't do that. My experience has been that with the ones that don't do that, trying to get the owner to voluntarily comply is very difficult. A lot of these are organizations, companies that aren't here. And there's someone running the apartment complex that reports to someone else in St. Louis that reports to someone else in Seattle. Right. So the local person has really no power and authority to do anything. The one thing that I have seen that has caused a change is when the city sends someone out there to issue municipal violation tickets, and they get fined. Mm-hmm. That appears to work.
Mr. Vice President.
And I agree with Mr. Days 100%, and that's why I asked earlier if the city can at least designate one person, especially go to businesses or apartment complex that's constantly that, you know, complaints come from. But, and another thing that the city can do too, especially if the owners are not locally and they, you know, out of town, is, you know, when it's time to renew the business license, stop it. You know, stop until we're able to talk to the owners of this particular company. But as Mr. DeLapp came back in, Mr. Colonel DeLapp, the resident had came down earlier and she stated that city crews have been out cutting grass and not picking up the paper, and it seems like that the trash that's been cut up, you know, flies everywhere. I went down to the sales center yesterday off of DIP and had another citizen also complain about the same thing, about the trash don't get picked up before the grass get cut, and then after the grass get cut, the paper get cut and it's splattered everywhere. Not too sure if it's city employees or the state employees or contractor that the city has hired, but it'd be something that we can make sure that we can address and reemphasize to the people that's cutting grass by picking up the trash before it's being cut. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory?
while we're talking about all this, I do want to thank the mayor and his staff for going ahead, moving forward to hire the subcontractors. I think that's important to get us back on schedule. We've had complaints before when these subcontractors come and they take care of the storm debris, that they tend to dig a little bit deeper maybe into the yards and leave gouges and stuff in people's yards. But I think that, compared with having all of the trash on the sidewalks and on the curbs for this period of time, is kind of a wash. And I would think that as we go forward, and if we get complaints where yards are dug up to pick up all of the trash, that we will go back in and make repairs. I hope that will happen. On the complaint that we got from the woman about the apartment complex and the parking lots and the litter on the side of the streets, I mean, I completely agree. I think this whole council agrees, and we know that there are issues, and it's all over the city. It is citywide. We're experiencing a lot of these problems where big box stores, people have no problem just dumping out all of their trash into a parking lot, and the trash just, you know, it blows everywhere, and the management of these stores don't believe it's their responsibility to clean it up. So it winds up in our ditches, it winds up in our curbs, you know, and it just makes a huge mess all over the city. So we are still experiencing these types of things, even though we know we have an ordinance on the books and we need to get back out and enforce. And Casey, I'm glad you came back in. You've got your work cut out for you. But that is still a problem. Most of the time, though, when the city crews are out, in fact, every time I've seen the city crews out cutting the grass, at least in my neck of the woods, they do pick up the litter first. But I know it's a problem because it doesn't always happen with some of our crews. The trash is there, the litter is there, they come, they mow, then the litter, it's microscopic size, but it blows everywhere, and it's just makes the situation worse. So we just have to be very careful about that. But again, I think we're all on the same page here. We know that there's continues to be a problem, and it's something that we have to work on through the education side of things, as well as enforcement and just abatement. So we know that there is, and I'm just happy that we are paying attention to it, looking at it, and trying to find how we can get things changed. And I see Ms. Antone's waving her hand up there.
Mr. Richardson.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would like to go on record now to say I don't favor hiring private contractors to pick up our trash. We have enough vehicles in every department, but in the trash department. We keep on buying SUVs every week. All of these departments, they have the equipment that they need. We have $64 million in surplus. If we just on out and look at the agenda today, it's another $60 million coming to the state of Mobile. We can buy any kind of truck we want to buy. We need to go buy the equipment we need to haul, so they can then hire the employees we need, and let our employees go out there and pick up the trash. This business of having citizens to carry that trash to a park is a hunk of junk. Seems to me it's a way to ease us into privatization, to frustrate the citizens so bad that they'll be glad if you gave them any kind of relief. Purchase the equipment that we need, hire the employees we need, and let's keep going. Look how long we've gone. I can see us doing this if Hurricane Willie Earl just left the city of Mobile and tore this city up. Then we need to bring some contractors in to help us straighten it out. We just got our first rain yesterday. We had no storm, no wind blowing out there. It's normal trash. Normal trash. There are 4 core services that every city has got to perform: police and fire, trash and garbage. In any city that can't perform those 4 services, they have failed our citizens. We are failing. I'm not for hiring no extra nobody else. Buy the trucks, hire the people, and let's go.
I have a question.
Ms. Rich?
Thank you. I was surprised to hear the mayor mention an outside contract, not because we don't need to have it done, but about 4 weeks ago, I asked about that and thought maybe it was a tool to use in order to get back on schedule. So what changed the dynamics? Because it was, just completely a non-issue when I mentioned it as a possibility for the city.
We were told by the vendors we'd have the trucks by the end of May, and they hadn't arrived. And so 4 are in the city today, but still haven't been delivered. We expect them this week, but that's effectively going to be a 2-week delay, so that's what prompted the move.
And how will this experience be different as far as what is going to be required from the outside for picking up? Because you said it was not worth it and it was more trouble than it was worth. So how have you?
Based on the timeline that we thought we'd have the equipment, it would have been probably not worth it. But the fact that it came in, the equipment was later getting here, it's still going to take us probably up to 30 days, I would think, to get fully back on schedule. It depends with the outside help on how quickly that'll happen. But because we still don't have the equipment, we didn't want to wait any longer and delay any longer. If we'd had it when we were told we'd get it, we wouldn't have had to go to that mode. But we're still concerned with what Ms. Gregory pointed out, which is we want to make sure that they're fully trained and understand the requirements to make sure that they don't do any damage along the way. Our crews are very, very good at doing this, been doing it a long time. They're very precise in how they operate that equipment. They're very comfortable with that equipment. So we just want to make sure the contractors that come out there understand that. I think the other thing is unlike in a storm debris, we get a lot of subcontractors that come in from out of town who aren't necessarily as cautious during a storm debris type pickup. This would be local companies, local folks that would be doing this, so that helps.
So there'll be 6 different contracts?
We're still working through, they're in the middle of contracting with them right now, but we anticipate we'd have them on the, working by the end of the week.
And so it's under 15,000 for each of the different contractors?
Again, I don't know the exacts right now. They're working through that right now with procurement.
Because it would require coming to council, if I'm not mistaken.
If it's more than that, that's right.
So we should look forward to that. The other thing is, and I don't know if this is just a bad rumor, but I might as well get it out and get the transparency. I heard that besides the equipment, there's also a shortage of personnel in that division. Is that true as well?
There's not a shortage of personnel, but we anticipate we're going to try to work to increase the numbers of personnel and equipment that we have going forward to ensure that there's not, because you always have people on vacation or leave or sick, and we have, just like everyone else, have people out for illnesses and things. So when that happens,
How many employees are in the trash division?
I don't have the exact number. I'll get you. I don't want to misspeak on the number.
Curious
but yeah,
to know.
I'll get you the exact number.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Mr.
All right.
President?
Thank you.
Mr. Richardson?
We want to know how many employees you have today and how many employees you had last year at the same time. And I want to know whether or not you all planning on picking up trash at night. I've gotten that also.
Yeah, trash at night's hard to do just because of Garbage is easier to do at night, typically, and because it's automated, you're grabbing a can. Trash is a little harder to do because of the limited visibility. I'll just tell you that up front. I've looked at a lot of other cities, but we're always looking at ways to see how we can optimize both of those services and make them better going forward, and we're in the process of doing that.
Other than police and fire, I don't think we have any other employees working at night. And I certainly don't think that we work these employees hard enough. All of this night stuff, it's because we have failed. We have not been, we have not had the equipment that they need. We don't have the force, the employees they need. I think we need to go back to basic and hard. I was over at Dumas Western Center when they claimed, Mr. Peavy claimed they just couldn't find people. I had 200-something people to come over there and apply. So we just can't find no, woe is me, I can't find nobody who want to pick up the trash and the garbage. I called on people to come and apply at Dumas Western Center. I had Mr. Peavy over there. I had over 200 people up there. You can get the people you need. Like you all, it seems to me that there's something else going on. I'm against privatizing. I'm against you hiring anybody. I'm for you getting equipment. I'm for you forecasting. You know how you told us the other day how long these SUVs going to last. You told us when they was going to quit working. You ought to know when the truck going to quit working. You should have had new trucks to take their place. All of that information ought to be on file. How long the life of these trucks, and before the life ends, we ought to have new trucks parked out there. We have the money to do it.
So, Mr. President, I just want to clarify two things. One is there's a twofold approach here. We're having to deal with these contracts, but the privatization is only temporary. It is not a large-scale attempt. We have looked at that before. It is far too expensive to do that. It is its highest and best use of citizens' dollars to make sure that we use city employees to do this job. This is just a supplement. So this being what's coming Friday in the private contracts is just a supplement to help our able employees. Secondary is, this is a setback, but our employees are not failing. They are doing a solid job. They are working around the clock. They have been working tremendously hard to get the things done. The problem is the equipment that we have ordered has been on back order for quite some time, and that's in large part due to shipping issues with coronavirus. That's not the council's fault. That's not the employee's fault. That's not a general issue. And just want to remind people also that remember when our BP funds came in, that $6.8 million a number of years ago, we used a very large portion of that money to order trash trucks. So with the level of maintenance that's going on consistently with the fleet, it is always an issue to resupply and supply. And the trucks that are supposed to be here on Friday are precisely the vehicles we need to make sure we're supplementing the fleet for our Public Works Division. And it's not their fault that they've been on back order, and it is not something that can be helped. But out of an abundance of caution, because I know your offices are all getting the calls, so if anyone does not want the private sector folks to be in their area, you can let Colonel DeLapp know, and we can prioritize the other areas. Otherwise, we continue to move forward with the entire city with the trucks that we will get and with the supplemental contractors.
And it was garbage trucks that came in with, not trash trucks, if I remember correctly, back in like 14 maybe?
It was garbage trucks.
Yeah, which we needed.
It was garbage trucks that was sorely needed.
Yes.
And to be clear, I mean, there's a life, and so we're, that was in 14, 15, and now we're in 21, getting ready to go into 22. So, all of them wear out. They're all expensive. We do have a replacement plan. And the other thing is we operate them, and we have been operating them much harder than, especially over the last year. But maintenance, coupled with heavy demand and use, have led to is what drove that original problem, and the backlog, as was stated by Mr. Woods, in terms of getting the equipment delivered. That is of no fault. Our employees have been working very, very, very hard, and so I think, you know, they're doing the very best that they can with the resources that they have at their hands right now.
The trash delays
Well-
in the spring are almost historic in Mobile for spring pickup, because that's when people come and put lots of stuff. So that's not the first round of that, but all of this started with the hurricane debris pickup. Because I went back to try to look at emails, and it actually started in October, the delays and everything. So it's been quite expansive.
That's right.
Mr. President,
Ms. Gregory?
not to continue the discussion any longer than is absolutely necessary, but here I go. I do want to just make sure that all of our employees in Public Works know that we appreciate what they're doing and that we do understand how difficult it's been. And Mrs. Rich is right. This all started back with the storms and just continued on through spring and, has just escalated. And we know we have to get something done because we do get inundated with phone calls, people complaining about the trash and how long it's taking and what a mess it is in my neighborhood. So taking the initiative to do something is very important. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that we here on the council appreciate what everyone in Public Works is doing and the hours that these folks are working. When I see them out, as an example, just this past Friday, they had stopped to get just a bottle of water at a 7-Eleven type store, and I was there, so I went up to say, look, I understand y'all are going through a lot, and I really appreciate it. We all appreciate it, so just thank you for what you're doing, because I don't think they hear that enough from us. So I just wanted to make sure that whoever's listening out there understands that we get it, we understand, and we appreciate it.
The last thing I'll say, and we need everyone's help in this, and we asked when we first knew that this was going to be a problem, based on everything Ms. Rich just pointed out, with the storms into the spring cleanup, with the lack of operational equipment, all created the perfect storm for this spring and the delays. But we also asked that folks meter the amount that they put out. One of the big challenges we have is our crews will go out and pick up the debris, the trash, before they're to the end of the street, that they've already loaded out another round in there in its place. And they know they're not supposed to be out during a regular time every 2 weeks, and during this time, once a month, currently under the current situation. So it'll sit out there, and that's where we need the citizens' help, your constituents' help, to follow the ordinances and the rules that we have in place, to not put it out until the day in which it's due, the day before it's due to be picked up. And we've been putting out every single night since we've been in the situation where we're going to be in what neighborhoods next. So please, I'd ask that when you have your meetings with your constituents, you talk to them, please remind them of that, because that is a big, big problem, and it leads to the stuff sitting in the yards, the eyesore, but also the litter and other things blowing around the city.
I just want to thank Ms. Hunt for coming down. I have spent probably an inordinate amount of time on the telephone with her over the last 3 or 4 years. I've been to her property, and I've seen exactly what she described. I've heard those tears before and wanted to desperately do something to assist her. We reported, turned it into the proper authorities, written the management of the apartment complex, and so I'm appreciative that she did come down today. I'm happy that Ms. Calloway has connected with her, and if you could keep my office in the loop as to what remedy you might be able to provide her, it certainly would be appreciated. And I join up my other colleagues in thanking our Public Works, because we know however the situation cuts or goes, it's not at their hand that we're in this condition. They work hard day in, day out, and we want to let them know that we do appreciate them. I think we're seeing it today, and I'm hopeful with some of these resources that we have coming from Washington that we'll be able to show it to them in a tangible way a little bit later. Madam City Clerk.
Carlos Finley.
Good morning.
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 Mr. President, Carlos Finley, 507 Church Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36602. To the council, the mayor's staff, and city staff. I presented to you back in February of this year, and I rise today on the 9th anniversary of the passing of our founder of the Dora Franklin Finley African American Heritage Trail. I serve as the president of the Dora Franklin Finley African American Heritage Trail and has done so for the last 5 years. This is a follow-up relative to an idea and an initiative that I presented to you in February. Please know that I have been in constant contact with Mr. Cleon Jones, who also has a great interest in this project. Today, I have invited to stand beside me and to entertain questions of you, renowned sculptor, Mr. Casey Downing. Many of us know him from sculpting the LaFleur and John Langham statues at Unity Point. What I present to you today is the Hank Aaron Loop Field of Dreams. This is the all-star Field of Dreams made up of all of the all-stars for the Major League Baseball that have hailed from the city of Mobile. Please take a look at the schematic in front of you. I have one presented behind you for the audience to see. This is an initiative that will encompass the entire Hank Aaron Loop. In essence, it makes a ball field out of the downtown Hank Aaron Loop. I said to you previously, build it and they will come. The outfield would be at Broad Street. The infield would be at Claiborne. The feature of this ball field would be Satchel Paige pitching to Hammer and Hank Aaron at Water Street. I have also engaged Mr. Downing for a proposal of cost. Mr. Downing's proposal is $55,000 per statue, a total cost of $660,000 with an estimate of pedestals for the statues to stand at $4,000 each, or $48,000. The grand total would be $708,000 for this entire initiative. If we divide that up by council districts at 7, it would be $94,285.71 per pedestal. This is a cultural heritage tourism initiative. Therefore, it would, in essence, benefit all districts, not just the district in which it stands. This is something that should have happened long ago. These baseball greats should be recognized. Here in the city of Mobile, they are the only place that this initiative could take place. Thank you, and I would entertain any questions that you have. Mr. Downey is here to do the same.
Any questions of either Judge Finley or Mr. Downey?
Just one thing, if you,
Yes,
thank you for coming, appreciate it, it's great to see Mr. Downing, and Carlos, I did want to tell you, I talked to Kelly earlier, this is a little off subject, but
okay.
We are working on a historic marker for one of my neighborhoods, and I appreciate all your help in doing that, look forward to getting that in.
You are very welcome. We are staying on CWA at every week. We are sending them a notice for an update. Currently, we're looking at the latter part of this month,
Yeah.
and we will certainly keep you apprised of that progress.
Well, Kelly and I have become texting buddies, keeping up with all of that.
Outstanding. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson.
I would like to, first of all, I would like to commend Judge Finley for his effort to showcase this talent here that everybody don't know about. But this is a great way for me to segment into what we already have that many don't know about. As a historian, I set out to capture the historicity of our many baseball players who left Mobile and went and played in the National League. So I got the funding, and if you go over to Aaron Park right now, if you go to Aaron Park, you will find a statue of Hank Aaron hitting his 715th home run at the Aaron Park. You're going to find around the circumference of that statue, all the way around the circumference of that statue, it's a cemented circle. Inside the cemented circle, I have 2x2 granite stones inside the cement for every baseball player that left Mobile and went to play in the National Baseball League. I got such a page over there. It's 2x2 on granite stone. Billy Williams, such a page is a Hall of Famer. Billy Williams, a Hall of Famer. Arthur Smith played in the National League. Tommy Aaron in the National League. Cleon Jones, an All-Star. William McCovey, Hall of Famer. Tommy A.G., All-Star. Frank Bolin in the American League. Ted Ratcliffe, he played in the league. Eddie Stinker played in the league, and he was also the manager for the sports program at the University of South Alabama. Amos Otis, Hall of Famer. Pete Melney played in the league. Jim Mason played in the league. Hank Aaron played 23 seasons from 1954 to 1976. He broke Babe Ruth's record by hitting 715 home runs. He went on to hit 755 home runs. He was born and raised on Edward Street in the heart of District 1 in Tobinville. His house is now at the Hank Aaron Stadium. All of this is visible now for all our citizens to see. This is extra. This is extra. And we certainly, because this is going to be on Main Street. Mine is on Andrew Street, but this is going to be on Main Street. But the idea that we have not captured the rich history of the baseball players, in District 1 we did. I made sure we did that. I have captured all of that. And I was going to build a resource center there to put all of this in, and I got beat down saying because of where it's located, wouldn't nobody come. So I had to let that go, but I was intending to build a sports resource center to honor all of the players, but I was able to get the granite stones to go around the circumference of the Hank Aaron statue. It's out there in Hank Aaron Park. In fact, we have spent about $1 million to upgrade that park. It's a children's park, and Hank was there. When I put the statue down, Hank Aaron and his entire family left Atlanta and came to be with us when we put the statue down and put the granite stones down for all the other players. He came home for that. Thank you, Mr. President.
I don't have a question, but
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
I just, for clarification, and maybe Mr. Williams can answer. I distinctly remember the mayor talking about statues of our Hall of Fame born and bred Mobilians, but I believe the site was at Cooper Riverside Park, and Mr. Williams made a great comment about having a pedestal that kids, or maybe even adults, could step on, and dream their dreams about becoming a Hall of Fame recipient. So I don't know where that is, but I think everyone's moving towards an understanding that there is a great fabric in our community. It's massive when it comes to baseball and the heritage of individuals that, claim Mobile as their home. So again, I think it's really open for public dialogue, and hopefully something really good can come out of it. Appreciate hearing your plans.
Mr. President, may I respond?
I'm so sorry, Judge Finley, all of your time has elapsed unless there's a specific question amongst a member of the council. Thank you for this presentation and for your energy and initiative. And what's clear is that we have something unique that probably no other city in this country could claim.
That is
this rich
correct.
baseball heritage, and that there's momentum to see us honor them in a very appropriate way, and I'm all for it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Reggie Hill.
Mr. President, members of the council, excuse me, thank you, Madam City Clerk. In the absence of our mayor, to the administration, citizens, and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to speak about public safety improvements, and it's rather interesting to me today, and really nearly every Tuesday, that we conduct business in the city. This is the day designated to conduct business, but it's just interesting that while this issue is on the agenda, we don't have representation from public safety here to even offer just remarks, comments about the situations that are going on in our city. I know we've had a lot of other things on the agenda today, and this may be a more daunting topic, but we have to discuss it. I want to send my prayers and condolences out to all families who have lost loved ones due to gun violence or just acts of irresponsibility, especially for those parents who have to bury their children. Mr. President, you being a member of the CLAW, you know that it has to be more than prayers and condolences. At some point, we have to take action. We understand, all believers, regardless of you are the CLAW or not, faith without works is dead. I think that until we began moving in a direction that is going to be more conducive to eradicating the problems from the cause standpoint, not reacting to the symptoms, being proactive, we're going to continue to see the same results in our city over and over and over again. Also, it's just very interesting to me, most people, my elders, they tell me, if you want to know the truth about a matter, just follow the money. Just follow the money. We've been talking a lot about equipment and all this kind of stuff today. Even got a Camry on the agenda. All this money about traffic lights. Not that these things are not concerns of the city or things that we don't need to take care of or things that citizens don't expect us to handle. That's not the case. That's not the point I'm making. But we need to have the same enthusiasm as we do for all this other stuff that usually impacts a small group of people towards these issues that are eventually going to impact everybody. We started closing down housing units and spreading people all across the city. So where we had a small area in which crime and violence and things of this nature were taking place, now it's spreading to everybody's district. And so until we start being proactive, I requested 3 weeks ago an opportunity to address the body, the Committee for Public Safety, the director of the department, and all these things. We can't do this in 3 minutes. Now, if each of you 7 counselors were to afford me an extra minute, like it says in the rules, we have 10 minutes to at least have a viable discussion, but we know that that's probably not going to happen. So until we start moving in a direction that actually pays the same amount of attention to these matters, we should not be shocked when every week the news reports it. And to the media, I wish the media would talk to people who actually have plans, proactive ideas. Y'all can't do this alone. You'd be foolish to think that you could. But until you start looking at the ideas that have been placed before you that actually work, this is not going to change. And it's sad to keep seeing this. And we're not even speaking on the truth of what this is. For the ability for some people to walk, others got to be removed. This stuff is sickening. So until we start doing something that's going to be proactive, let's not expect anything to change. Thanks for yielding the floor.
CIP resolutions held over. 21412, authorized contract with SC Stagner Contracting for Copeland Cox Tennis Center, ADA improvements.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolutions held over. If there are no objections, I'll take all of these together.
Thank you.
Okay. 08413, approved purchase order to KIG Vehicle Concepts for Toyota Camry. 08414, approved purchase order to Jason Pilger for Chrysler Dodge for Dodge Charger. 08415, approved purchase order to Ward International Trucks to replace engine for 2016 Ford ambulance. 08416, approved bid award for fuel for equipment services. 08417, approved purchase order to Southern Lighting and Traffic Systems for street light luminaries and lamp posts. 08418, approved purchase order to MyCore Lighting for 600 high-intensity discharge lamps. 08419, approved purchase order for fuel for the Wave Transit. 08420, approved purchase order to Boundtree Medical for 12 video laryngoscopes. 21421, authorized contract with GRW Engineers for Restore Funded Mobile Area Stormwater Mapping and Resiliency Planning Project. 21422, authorized with Wood Environment and Infrastructure Solutions for the Restore Funded Mobile Area Stormwater Mapping and Resiliency Planning Project. 21423, authorized contracts with Mobile Tennis Center Professionals. 21424, authorized contract with James H. Adams and Son Construction Company for Ann Street rehabilitation for sidewalks, curbing, and drainage. 21425, authorized contract with Cone for replacement of CPU controllers on elevators 4, 5, 7, and 8 at the Arthur R. Outlaw Convention Center.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President.
Looking at Resolution 21-424, which is authorizing a contract with James H. Adams and Son for the rehab of Ann Street for sidewalks, curbing, and drainage. And this is between the part of Ann Street between Tennessee Street and also Virginia Street, which is right there at the edge of District 3 and also meets District 2. When I first looked at this project, I was like, it is pretty much a waste, because that part of Ann Street was nothing like the other parts of Ann Street that we had rehabbed within the past 8 years. Actually, this is the fourth biggest project that has been done to Ann Street. First project was a great hole in front of Craighead Elementary School, which was about 6 feet deep, which when I first encountered on council, that my concerns was that kids would actually fall into that ditch and get hurt right there in front of the elementary school. That was the first phase of Ann Street getting done. The second one was between Tennessee Street and also Baltimore Street. The third phase was between Baltimore Street and Arlington Street. Now we're at this fourth phase between Tennessee Street and also Virginia Street. And even though I said that it did not need, to my naked eye, work, it's actually a very important part of Ann Street that has to be rehabbed. Actually, it would benefit not only District 3 and District 2, but other communities throughout the city of Mobile, because that part of Ann Street is the main trunk where most of the drainage comes right there on Ann Street to empty out into Tennessee Street. But I would like to thank the partnership between the Mobile County commissioners pay-as-you-go funding, and also malls, and also Nick Amberger, our city engineer in the city of Mobile, for help to spearhead on this great important project. We know that we've been hearing about different floodings that's going on in our district, drainage issues and everything. This will go ahead and assist us with the drainage issues that throughout the city of Mobile by reconstructing this very important part of Ann Street. And again, this is between Tennessee Street and Virginia Street. A very expensive project, but again, our drainage empties out into that main branch, which empties out into Tennessee Street. And it's very important that this project get done. And again, I do thank my council, I believe, to hope to support this idea to help to take our city to the next level, especially dealing with drainage. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This particular project will get us right at the border of District 2. And we're hopeful, once we've completed the complete rebuild of Texas Street, working with our county commissioner and with CIP resources, that we'll be able to follow on through with the complete rebuild of Ann Street. That will be a priority. I can assure residents of that community that it is on our radar, but these rebuilds are sometimes $5 to $6, $7, $8 million, and it takes multiple parts of resources in order to get it accomplished. Texas Street is up next in our district, and then we will zero in on continuing the great work Councilman Small has started on Ann Street. And I want to certainly thank our county commissioner, Messiah Lookgood, Nick Amberger, everyone who's worked so hard to bring these items to the agenda. I know he's working now on Texas Street. I appreciate that, and appreciate the patience of the citizens. We hear about it. Every time there's a light rain, people pull out their canoes and want to go rolling on down Ann Street, and I get it. We have some of those areas across District 2, and as we have available resources, as we are successful with more grant efforts, we're going to be tackling those issues. So, but this is great work, and I'm glad to see it happen. Councilman Small. Any other commentary? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 37426 through 37440.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
to have immediate consideration for consent resolutions 37-426 through 37-440.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
37426 and 427 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer table wine off-premises only license for BP Food Mart on Government Boulevard, and for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license for M&T American Jamaican Grill on Cody Road South. 6428, authorize award a special bonus to the Parks Department Employee of the Month, Jack Green. 6429, 430, 431, and 432 are determining appropriations to the Village of Spring Hill, 3 Mile Creek Partnership, Deep South Region of the Antique Automobile Club of America, and Gulf Coast Challenge serve public purposes and approving payment. 21433, authorize contract amendment with 10X Software Solutions for lease of electronic poll books for the upcoming municipal election. 37440, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a special events retail license for Lit Cigar Lounge for Saturdays at the Coop on South Water Street.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 01434 through 31439.
Mr. President, I'm looking to do immediate consideration for resolution 01-434 and 31-439, and the rest would be laid over. Resolution would be laid over by council rules.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, okay, so we're not doing the traffic signal generators. moving that money?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. 01434, authorized grant agreement with Alabama Gulf Coast High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. And 31439, authorize approval to receive funds for the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Announcements.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much. I'm going to limit my comments to comments being made, and I'm out of time. And I'm hoping that in the years to come, and the new council that gets elected in August, that they will consider not only limiting the limit they have placed on citizens, restoring it to 5 minutes, but also limiting their own comments so that we can conduct business very quickly during these business meetings. It's all due respect that we each have our own right to speak for as long as we wish. It is that when we limit the citizens and then don't limit ourselves, it becomes somewhat questionable, in my opinion, and need only check the books to the committee meetings in which we discussed this, that I met that with some opposition, and fairly so. The council spoke. I would just hope that the next council will take it up immediately in their rules meeting when they are about to take office in November, and consider that very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Ms. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. This morning, I joined USA Health and the City of Mobile and Smith Memorial AME Church for a COVID-19 vaccine clinic. This is one of 3 that we have held within District 7, and I was just happy to be there to join with and appreciate everyone who was involved in planning and participating in these clinics. The participation among residents coming to receive these vaccines, however, is on the wane, and we really want to encourage people, especially when we bring these clinics to the communities, to come on out and take advantage of it. So the clinic is going on, I don't even know what time it is, until noon. We may be, almost noon. It was from 8 o'clock until noon today, so again, just thanks to everyone who was involved in that. This coming Saturday, I will be out at Hillsdale again at the Recreation Center. I'm sponsoring a Universal Youth Foundation basketball camp, which will feature some elite coaches along with members of the police department coming out and working with the kids there. It's also part of Jason Caffey's foundation, so you all know who Jason Caffey is from Mobile. Great basketball player, professional basketball player, also played at Auburn. So he is participating, and this is his foundation, so I'm happy to be there to help be a part of this basketball camp. And just a word of thanks to the municipal enforcement folks. I've had some illegal dumping issues recently. In Mobile Terrace, we have a very favorite dumping ground that we're constantly having to call about. The municipal enforcement folks were right there immediately. We have found a violator, and we are in the process of taking that person to court. But I also have an issue on North Cody Road, which, as you may know, one side is the city and one side is the county. The city side gets all kinds of illegal dumping on their side, and we're having a lot of difficulty resolving that issue. So again, I always reach out to municipal enforcement. They do the best they can. But these issues persist, and we've got to find a way to stop the illegal dumping. I think maybe the cameras will be the answer. If we can come up with the funding to put cameras in all these favorite spots, maybe that will help slow down. But in the meantime, I just want to thank the city folks who have responded to the calls, come out and cleaned up, as well as gone after the violators for all the help that they are giving to try to resolve this.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank the Dolphin Island Parkway Senior Sales Center for inviting me out on yesterday. They had the foundation had the opportunity to welcome back all the seniors from the community back to the sales center because of the pandemic. the sales center has shut down, and the governor had lightened up some of the regulations on last month, and so some of the seniors was able to come, but still with some restrictions. But as of today, a lot of the restrictions have been let up, and it was great to see so many seniors coming back out to the sales center and enjoying the new things as far as the new room additions, the computer rooms, the exercise room, and it was just great to just have fun and fellowship. They had plenty of cakes and cupcakes and drinks on yesterday, and me personally trying to stay slim and thin, I couldn't eat no cake, but I like to thank all the seniors for inviting me out on yesterday. We had a great time on yesterday afternoon. Also, citizens of District 3, please mark your calendar for this coming Saturday, June the 12th at 1 o'clock p.m. We will have our District 3 Community Fun Day, and also a ribbon cutting ceremony and revealing of the transformation plan for Tramiel Park. All this will take place this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. We had installed some new playground equipment, basketball court, et cetera, at Tramiel Park, and it's going through a 5-year plan out at Tramiel. Tramiel Park is one of the parts in District 3 that has been neglected for many years because of funding. Even it does not even qualify for a community block development grant money because of the line that it falls in between. So because of lack of grants and city funding in the past years, Tramiel has been neglected. Thank God for our capital improvement project monies, and we are able now to put money not only just in Tramiel Park, but we have plans on putting money throughout several parks, which we have already done within District 3. Tramiel Park, again, the reason we're having this great celebration at Tramiel Park this coming Saturday, because again, it had been many years of neglect, and we have a five-year transformation plan that we're going to release where we can make Tramiel Park look like Medal of Honor Park. It's just my colleague, District 6, representing everything. So again, inviting the whole community to come out this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m., June the 12th, for plenty of food, game, and fun. Also on Tuesday, June the 22nd at 6 o'clock p.m., I will be hosting our first district-wide community meeting in a long time since the pandemic. This meeting will take place at the Riverside Baptist Church. I had invited the administration along with several city departments to come to this meeting. This meeting, we will also release a very great police initiative that is going to happen within our district, and the police department, our captain of the police department, and our also public safety director is planning on being there and to release these plans. And again, this is something that the community has been asking for even before I got on council. And again, this will take place on Tuesday, June the 22nd at 6 o'clock p.m. Also at that meeting, we will have Mr. Chris Curry to bring in updates about the movement of the airport, and we will also have invited the new school board commissioner and also our new county, Mobile County commissioner also, which represent District 3. Again, all this would take place on June the 22nd at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Riverside Baptist Church on Dauphin Island Parkway. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Daves.
Thank you, Mr. President. 1 week from today at 8 o'clock a.m. In this room, the City Council Finance Committee will meet to consider possible uses of the coronavirus local fiscal recovery funding. That will be an opportunity for the council members to learn more about the program from the finance director and to understand to what uses it might be, those funds might be put, and to what uses they might not be put. So that's a week from today at 8 o'clock in the morning in this room. And then I'd also like to announce that we will have a District 5 community meeting July 13th at 6 o'clock p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church, which is located on the corner of Sage Avenue and Airport Boulevard. That's 6 o'clock p.m., July 13th. Invited guests are Mayor Stimson, Public Safety Director Batiste, and Public Services Director DeLapp. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to announce that I will be holding my District 1 Trinity Gardens community meeting on Tuesday, June 29th at 6 o'clock in the Dodge Community Center in the heart of Trinity Gardens. And it has been more than a year since we've held community meetings, and this is going to be the first one, and I'm going to be moving across the district with my meetings. I haven't heard from the citizens directly in more than a year. I'm anxious to hear from them, and I will be bringing additional information that will be beneficial to the citizens of Trinity Garden, and I will bring them an update on CIP projects. So I'm asking all of our citizens in Trinity Gardens to please to meet us at the Dodge Community Center. And again, that's going to be Tuesday, June the 29th at 6 p.m. I would like to say that the sidewalks along O'Shea Road are being installed. We paid for them over 4 years ago, but we are thankful that at least they are being installed now. Hopefully, I know we had some rain yesterday. Hopefully by the end of this week, they will be through with installing those sidewalks. Sidewalks looking good. They're doing good with those sidewalks. And I need to check because I believe we had a grant for sidewalks to start at I-65 on O'Shea Road and come east to where this group of sidewalks we're laying down now, where they began, the other sidewalks should end right there on Union Avenue. So I need to check more into that. Citizens are beating me up on Vickers Park. We approved the contract to renovate and bring new features to Vickers Park in April. We approved the construction contract in April, and I haven't seen any action. Haven't seen nobody out there. And once we approved the contract, I made the general announcement to the citizens in Tobinville that you can expect, and I named all of the features that was coming. Lo and behold, they have seen nothing. And I'm requesting now to be notified when the citizens can expect construction to start. And if I don't get anything, I'm going to keep announcing this every week. I'm not going to stop. I want to, I don't see no need of giving somebody a contract and they're going to go somewhere else with the contract. If you're not ready for the folk to work, we shouldn't give them a contract. The council voted on the contract and we haven't seen the contractor. So it is unacceptable. And I will be unrelenting. I will keep on pointing out these shortcomings. I can see you saying it's nothing we can do at Vickers Park because we don't have any funding to do anything. But when we done put the funding on the table and we still can't get it done, something else is going on that I don't understand. And I'm going to keep on with this until construction starts. That's my announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Rich.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank everyone for helping to reopen the Connie Hudson Senior Center. First and foremost is Commissioner Connie Hudson with her unwavering support of that facility that was shut down for 427 days and sorely missed in the community. There was an ice cream party from Cammie's Ice Cream. Actually, it was banana splits. It was fabulous, and Commissioner Hudson supported that with her economic incentive money for that to happen. We also had the Commissioner of the Alabama Department of Senior Services, Gene Brown, present. Councilman John Williams was there, and of course the Director of the Therapeutic and Senior Recreation Programs, Ashley Nicole Flowers. It was very well attended for the first event. We didn't know how many to expect, but I believe everyone got a sundae and enjoyed themselves, and I understand programs are starting to ramp back up. There is no cafe yet open, but I'm hoping that the administration is working diligently to find the right resource to run that cafeteria, because it's a big component of that facility, and people will be missing it, and we'll be hearing from people shortly if we don't see something in the near future happening with that. And also, I'd like to thank everyone in all the different disciplines that worked in-house to get the spray ground up and running at Medal of Honor Park. That was also something welcome this past weekend, and the hours are from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day of the week. So I hope that you'll stop in and be part of that fun as well. The other thing is that there are 2 shelters being built nearby. In the past, there's only the gazebo that hosted a lot of parties, and people came out very early in the morning to reserve it because the city does not take reservations. But I'm wondering if the administration might want to look, since now we have 3 different shelters out that way. They are very popular places for birthday parties and get-togethers. If the city would consider having that be on a reserve basis, I think that might stop some tension and things from happening. I'd also like to remind everybody at 2 o'clock, the Council Committee of the Whole will be meeting in this auditorium to take comments from the public and from administration at this time about the new UDC codes. I'm hoping people will be in attendance. We had some media release on it. I don't know how many people actually know to attend. I see this as a very huge step in the city's history to adopt new codes that will update them after 56 years of codes on our books that are quite archaic. And also our council attorney that was hired to talk about the UDC with us and to give us guidance is not going to be present, and I'm hoping that there'll be another committee meeting where her presence and a working time for council to get her input and also to learn about what changes we might want to consider as a council prior to the advertising and the well, I guess it's the required permanent public hearing, rather, that will need to take place after that advertising time is up, and I think it's a 3-week advertising. And then the council is the final word on this issue. So I'm looking forward to this in the next couple of weeks to move forward, and the council, we had a subcommittee. The subcommittee now becomes the whole committee, which of course would have been the case regardless of the subcommittee. But again, 2 o'clock in this plaza auditorium to start that process with the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rich. Do I hear a motion? Is there a second?
Mr. President, before we go,
Yes, ma'am.
I have to make one correction.
Sure.
I'm wearing the right colors, but when I was talking about Jason Caffey earlier, Jason played for Alabama. So I have to say, roll tide, Jason. I don't know why I thought otherwise, but he did play for Alabama, great star there, and then, of course, for the Chicago Bulls and later on for the Golden State Warriors. So roll tide, Jason, and see you Saturday.
Yes, ma'am. There was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?